heart is about to open wide.
Welcome once again to Pandora's Box, ladies and gentlemen. Today we've got another special guest on the show. It's the return of my Uncle Dom, the legend that is my Uncle Dom. Dom, it's a pleasure to have you on the show again, man. As I said, I've just been saying to you before we started recording, always forever in your debt for the things you've done for me in my life. And not just that, but you probably didn't seem like a big thing to you at the time, and you might not realise it, but all the time I spent with you as a little kid growing up, like, just those influences that you gave me, whether it was, playing Sega or watching action movies and stuff, that had such a big impact on my life. Like, and to this day is like shared like a, not shared, it's like it's shaped like who I am. Like, had a massive part in shaping who I am, and not just all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? But when you look at, because you look after me all the time when I was a kid, wouldn't you? Like, say my mum would always, mum and dad were both working, and you would look after me and my brother a lot. And I remember at the time you trained at Splash Gym, and I remember being in the gym, obviously watching you. Obviously, as a little kid, you're not allowed to train, but I mean, I sit and I would watch you doing pull-ups and doing all this other stuff, and I would just love it. I just remember just like loving gym culture. I mean, I go to the gym with my old man as well, and I used to love watching him train as well. But I remember just like sitting on your back, and you'd be doing like push-ups with me on your back, and just doing chin-ups, and I just loved that gym culture, So just thanks, man. Thanks for all those influences that you gave me. I said some of my best memories are of watching Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, playing Sega Mega Drive, all of that stuff. So yeah, awesome to have you back on the show, man.
Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be back.
Yeah. So last time you were on the show, you were, I think you said on the show you were sort of thinking about leaving the police force, and obviously since then you have left.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, how's that all gone? How's life been for you, like, since you left the police force?
Unbelievable. It's like the weight of the world has been lifted from my shoulders.
Yeah.
So the last 5 years of serving as a police officer is probably the most unhappy years of my life.
Really?
Yes.
I know it could be like hard and heavy. I remember, obviously, I've spoken to you about a bit about it before. When I'd go over your house and speak to you and stuff. And I think, I think a lot of people get wrapped up in, little unpleasant experiences maybe they've had with coppers in the past, or maybe they got pulled over for doing, a little bit over the speed limit, and maybe the copper they dealt with wasn't as friendly as maybe they should have been. So I think, the police sometimes rightfully and sometimes wrongfully get a bad rap, in modern society, and I think, probably both sides are to blame to that for an extent. I think that the police force, maybe they've lost that connection and that relationship maybe with the general public. Maybe the public don't feel like the police are on their side. But then obviously sometimes you do have a lot of mick taking, members of the public as well, that, sometimes, there's not going to be, there's no, smoke without fire, sort of thing. But yeah, I remember I see how stressed you were sometimes. And I think, to be fair, for anybody out there listening, I think, you've got to remember that, the police, not all policemen are just there sitting at, at dual carriageways trying to do somebody for going 3 miles over the limit. Police officers, if somebody has gone missing, the police are the ones that are called. Sometimes you're dealing with dead bodies, dealing with ridiculously dangerous members of the public. I remember once, you got in an altercation with somebody. It turned out afterwards they had HIV, and they scratched you, and then they bit you. Sorry.
AIDS.
Yeah, and then as a result, you had to go through just the mental stress. I remember you telling me that you had to go through tests afterwards, obviously, to find out if you had then got HIV as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, luckily you didn't, but just the stress of that alone, just having to every day before you got those results, just thinking, do I now have HIV because this person that I've apprehended because they were a danger to themselves and the public while you were arresting them bit you through the skin? That alone, I mean, to somebody that's maybe has a bit more of a mundane job, whatever it is, the fact that you're dealing with dead bodies, dealing with people that are violent, dealing with situations like that, it's a stressful job.
Yeah, it certainly was. But for me, the stress wasn't on the street. It was back at the station. Yeah, the red tape, the politics.
How much do you want to talk about that today? How much are you willing to talk about that?
Well, it's just I appreciate times change, but you join a disciplined service, and that's what it is, and that's what it should be. Mm-hmm. But it was no longer like that for me. It was a very strange place to be. It was very uncomfortable, and yeah, I understand that police need to be scrutinised more than anyone. But then all this nonsense on the telly, catch a copper and all the rest of it. And in 26 years, I've experienced not what they were trying to catch a copper, but other maybe misapprehensions of policing that were things turn a blind eye, two sets of standards, treated indifferently. And that's something I don't deal with very well.
Yeah.
Everyone should be treated equally.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And one or two officers that I probably won't mention that I came up against, I was told to stand down. Stand down, not take them on.
Really?
Yeah.
For what reason? Because they were technically superior?
No, they'd been friendly in the past.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. For politically correct reasons.
Yes.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. They carved their career and secured their career, I should say.
Yeah.
By being over friendly towards maybe supervising officers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And they're in a position now of strength.
Right. So politics basically is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
People politicking,
securing their future.
Maybe
every way, which way
in an undignified manner.
Yes.
Trying to progress through your career.
Yes.
Not because of how good you are at your job, but from knowing who to suck up to,
what they need to do.
Yes. And basically,
how to do it.
If you're and if you're undignified enough, then you are probably willing to do whatever it takes to get ahead in life.
If that person's listening now, which I hope they are, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't forget anything.
Oh man, I hope they're ashamed of themselves.
And I fell out with that officer a few times over the years, and I was told by high-ranking officers, senior officers, to don't take that person on. You'll come worse off, and and that was their friendly warning. Yeah,
I mean, I completely empathise with you, man, because I said, you said before the show started that we're cut from the same cloth, and I think it's definitely true. Like, I think it sounds cliche, but you should treat people how you want to be treated in life, and go by merit. So you go through life trying to be decent to people, treat people how you want to be treated, and it's very hard when you're in a working environment, and there are people maybe throwing their weight around. As I said, getting ahead maybe through let's be frank, like through kissing ass. And by it being undignified rather than just trying to get by from being a decent human being, being a team member, getting by on merit. It can be very hard to deal with. It makes me, the times I've had to deal with it, makes me very angry, and I can be very black and white with those sort of things. And it's very hard because in this day and age, if you're the one that then calls out that person, you're probably more likely to be the one that then gets scrutinised for that and criticised than the actual person that's doing that sort of stuff, and that can be very hard to deal with. Very hard to deal with.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, so I'm completely sympathetic to that, dude.
Thanks.
So you said obviously in the last 5 years you working there, it's probably the most miserable you've ever been in your life, and it was one of the reasons was for what you've just mentioned. What other sort of factors led to you sort of being so unhappy being a policeman, and how did it differ from back in the day? I mean, you started being a copper back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, when I joined up for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. It's a very disciplined service. You're a member of a team. You knew what you had to do. You had direction and help and assistance and support. That's long gone. And for instance, some jobs can take a year to investigate. It's not 5 minutes. And I'm talking about true victims of crime, not some idiot that's been thumped at the back of the palace. That's not a victim of crime.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those that are really suffering and really need our help. Yeah. And to gather information, first of all, to let them trust you enough to come forward, provide a statement of evidence for you to believe what's happening, and then to slowly gather pieces of the jigsaw, put it together, enough to take perpetrators to court or get them arrested. I mean, that's what I call true policing. And to have that rug pulled out from under your feet because it takes too long, we've got other crimes that need investigating, it's not in the public interest. That's ludicrous to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're letting down true victims of crime just because there's so many ongoing crimes in the system. They need short-term, low-level crimes that need investigating. Yeah, they need to basically clear the system. It's all computer generated. on a computer system, and they need to hand out these crimes to officers, get them dealt with, get them gone. That's all they're interested in.
So it's more just like they're just trying to dot the I's and cross the T's, rather than actually being maybe having that personal relationship with these victims of crime.
Absolutely.
Or with these people that are suffering.
You know, modern day slavery. That's months and months and months of gaining someone's trust.
Yeah.
Getting them to see that they are a victim of crime. They can't see it until you abstract them from that. Things like that. And the last sergeant I had, who I totally respected, was on board with that way of policing. A very sensible head on very young shoulders. And so he would support that line of policing, investigation. Then all of a sudden, he's thinned out, he's gone. He's gone to a different station overnight almost. From hero to zero.
He was literally pushed out?
Yeah, gone from the department I was working in. Moved.
What was the reason on paper for that?
Well, because he dared stand up to those who...
Right. So he was getting orders from up above.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that, so he questioned that, and then just got basically pushed to the side. Right. And then they brought in somebody that would fall in line.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So how did that work out for you?
Awfully.
Yeah.
Terribly.
So what was it like? So can you sort of like, because I say it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think most people, you see coppers on the beat. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you don't actually see coppers walking around very often nowadays. You see them in the cars, but you don't really ever see coppers on the street nowadays. I mean, I think one of the last times I actually saw a copper on the beat was you. You used to walk around the local town centre.
That was the last one.
You used to walk, and I remember people used to really like it as well.
Yeah.
And I remember I remember like bumping into you sometimes, and you would be very friendly to members of the public. You'd have these little freaking rapscallion little
Still
kids.
friendly with them now.
Yeah,
even now.
Yeah, and just chatting to people, and also obviously in the town that we live in, there is a lot of criticism about the town bridge, where we have town bridge. There's a lot of drunk and disorderly behaviour all times of the day. There's people who sort of gather around drinking and stuff, and just having a bit of a police presence, just walking around, obviously makes the public feel at ease. And I think obviously since you left and you stopped, there is a lack of presence there now, and I see it all the time, like on social media and stuff. People complaining that the town centre's too lawless, that it's too raucous. There's too many drunk and disorderly people around Town Bridge all day, every day. But I think, because if you don't actually have a copper that's on foot that you can actually talk to and is personable and actually see, okay, this person isn't just here just trying to, chuck fines and offences at me. They're actually here to serve the public. Then, people sort of feel lost, because a lot of the time they do call the police, and maybe the police will literally just drive through town once or twice, and then that's it. They don't really do anything about it. I see it's a massive problem. I see people complaining about it all the time.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts of that? Why don't you see coppers on the beat so much nowadays? What is it? Why don't you see them walking around on foot so much?
Well, because they're out investigating these low-level crimes, and they don't think it's in the interest to have someone on foot.
That just seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
Surely you need to have that presence. You hear, even back when I was younger, but you hear even more so from people older than myself. You would have like your local Bobby. Pretty much everybody would know who they were and have a good relationship with them, and you talk to them, and they were a member of the public. Even though they were working, they were a member of the public at the end of the day, just like you. Serving the public, and you would sort of know who they were, and you could trust them, and if you had an issue, you could go to them. Whereas nowadays that seems completely lost.
Knowledge is power. I would know where everybody was. I could find anybody. If anybody's wanted or outstanding, I knew exactly. And that's sort of gaining a bit of trust within the community. That's gone forever. All that contact, years of contact, years spending time with those people. I had no one to pass it on to. It's gone forever.
It's mad that it's changed so much.
Yeah.
So, I say, because we don't know what it's like to actually, or most people listening don't know what it's like to be a copper. So, walk us through it. So, typically, what was your day like when you'd sort of turn up at the station? What would your day look like?
What, the olden days, the good days, or?
Well, maybe both. Compare the two.
So used to be a member of a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
So you turn up at the station. You'd have to be you expected to be there half an hour before duty, and then you'd have a briefing with a sergeant and sometimes an inspector in person. You sit in a room. And you go through all what's happened, people we need to look for, cars we need to look for, and there'd be a few crimes to hand out, share them out between us. somebody would make the tea. So we'd all have a nice cup of tea together. Then we discuss who we're going to be working with. And then we go out, fight crime and social injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And the sergeant would know exactly where we were, what we were doing, who we were looking for. And it was a team effort. So we'd be listening out for each other. You know, if you stop a car, 4 up, we start making our way towards it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the latter part was I'd be on a station on my own. Briefing would be on a TV screen. I'd spend all day, not speak to another soul. Nobody knew where I was, what I was doing. The only time that they'd show an interest was they needed some extra resources somewhere. It was just ridiculous.
Seems crazy.
Yeah.
And sort of, what was your relationship like with your superiors compared to when you were younger, when you first started?
Fantastic when I was younger.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And then what was it like, by the end? I mean, I think I know to be honest, I know that you've talked to me just personally about it before, but you said there's an element, I think it's a real problem in modern society as well. There's sort of a lot of box ticking going along by the sounds of things with people in positions and stuff like that. As we were talking about earlier, not making it there by merit, but just sort of ticking boxes rather than, what's that thing I always like, that's that saying, you should have a quality of opportunity, not a quality of outcome. And what that means is if you have a quality of opportunity for everyone, it's a fair playing field in life. So give everyone a fair playing field, and then the cream will rise to the top. But what you have in modern society a lot is a quality of outcome. So it's forced outcomes. So rather than it being a quality of opportunity, where it's just that's more like a fair environment where just the cream rises to the top. You've got a quality of outcome. So people are just forced into positions to essentially tick boxes.
Let me give you an example. See what you think of this, okay?
Yeah.
So, when I was, what they used to nickname me, the Sheriff of Bridgewater.
Yeah.
The predominant trouble we had was street drinking,
mm-hmm.
shoplifting, and beggars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one man is not going to cure, a habit of a lifetime.
Yeah.
An illness, if you like, the alcoholism. So when the off license is open at 8 o'clock, these guys were queuing up for their, £1 can of beer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no drinking zone in the town. But
it's a joke though, even saying that, because there's people drinking probably right now in town.
So,
right in the middle.
The way to combat it is to try and get these guys on board. Because you're going to see them every day.
Yeah.
And if you start playing them up, they're going to make your life hell, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them a very discreet, unused location just outside the town centre, a bit of waste ground.
Right.
I gave them that area as theirs to go and have a drink.
Right.
So they go there, drink their can, then come back into the town without a can.
Right.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like a perfect solution.
Yeah.
My sergeant was on board. The town council was on board.
Yeah.
Anyway, I worked with this other officer who worked the opposite shift with me. That officer's idea of dealing with it is snatching the can out of their hand, pouring it over them, taunting them, pushing them about, throwing their beer away. And they went absolutely mad, as you can imagine.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And if you start taking their alcohol off them, they're going to start shoplifting, aren't they?
Yeah.
So everything spirals out of control.
Because they're poor anyway.
Yeah.
Let's face it, these people aren't wealthy.
And when CCTV used to pick them up and say, they're in Blake Gardens, so all I had to do is walk down there, they see me, and off they go.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah, sure.
No issues at all.
I can remember even the times that I would bump into you in town. Obviously, I would just start chatting to you and stuff, and I could see some of the people that would come up to you. I could tell that they really respected you.
Yeah. Anyway, this other officer puts a complaint in against me, and I have to go up to headquarters and have a beanbag session with this person.
Right.
This is not that long ago, and we were put into separate rooms with a piece of A4 paper. And we had to write down all the problems we have with this other officer.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So then we're brought out into this room together.
Yeah.
And there's 2 people mediating it. Mm-hmm. And we're given all the warnings, anything said, it could be reported, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. So I said to this officer, you can go first. War and peace. Mm-hmm. What did I have written on my piece of paper, do you think?
Probably just one line.
0.
Is that literally nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing, so.
So I said to this person, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, yeah.
What sitting on a beanbag in this room on my day off.
Sitting on a beanbag, yeah.
What's this all about?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, this officer, right, he's highly respected. He's grassed a couple of cops up, had them sacked. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one or two.
He's a tout-it.
Yeah, supervisors think, blow smoke up his ass.
Yeah.
This officer, whilst on duty a few years ago, had a on-duty relationship with a teenager.
Really?
Had a child with this person.
Yeah.
Was married at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got 4 children with his wife and had one in between.
Jesus.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's madness.
I'm not the sharpest tool in the box.
Yeah.
But he makes a complaint against me and we have to have a beanbag session. But what he did on duty is okay.
So how does that...
Good question. And all this nonsense on the telly, catch a copper.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But how is that even like... How could anybody even justify that, you know?
Good, there you go.
That's madness, isn't it?
That's why I struggled the last few years.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I expect you thought you were just beating your head against a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because, I mean, I think it's pretty much a universal opinion that...
How's he still wearing a uniform?
Yeah. But it's crazy, because I think it's, you know...
And the worst thing is, he turned his back... Instead of doing the dutiful thing, taking ownership of that child, or even putting your hand in your pocket, carving out a nice future for that child, even if there's no future for the mother, he nothing.
Really?
Nothing financial, nothing.
What, he just like denied it? Or?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he denied it, but...
Just left him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Is that bringing the force into disrepute?
Well,
as a serving police officer, as a man, as a father?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you got word of that as just a member of the public, I mean, they say the police, unfortunately, their reputation already isn't good.
I mean, they used to come after me, right? Over 20 years, I used to get tip-offs about drug dens, big cannabis factories, people doing drugs. Yeah, I'd kick a few doors in.
Yeah, yeah.
Never came away empty-handed, ever. Always a positive hit. I never put a door in, and there's nothing in there. Wrong address. Right? Never, ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know how many times? I even did it on Neighbourhood Blues.
Yeah,
they filmed me doing it.
Just to sort of just pause it there a second. So you were on a lot of, maybe people don't know listening or watching. You were actually on a TV show, weren't you? Called Neighbourhood Blues. Do you know what? I wish do you have that? By the way,
they still stream it. It's still on. I've got some copies of it.
Oh man, I need to have my own copy of that because I watched it when it came out on Sky TV. I watched it at the time and I was like, man, I cannot believe I'm just watching my uncle Dom on telly. Just like, it was like so surreal. It was freaking awesome, man. But yeah, I need to get myself a copy of that. But yeah, you were on a TV show called Neighbourhood Blues, where basically, when people know the premise, it was like a film crew following around police officers on the beat, doing tackling various crimes. Yeah. But dude, it was great. I used to love watching it, man. Because you were in a fair few episodes, weren't you?
Yeah. But anyway,
so go back to your point.
So again,
even on Neighbourhood Blues, you were saying,
Yeah. So I've, over the sort of 20-25 year period, I've kicked several doors in, many doors actually. Always been a positive hit.
Yeah.
But I get dragged over hot coals because there's a little bit of red tape. Where's your warrant? Where's your grounds? Where's your intel? Well, my intel's up here.
Yeah.
My grounds, there's drugs in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never come away empty-handed.
Sure. Yeah.
But I get dragged over hot coals, threatened, losing my job for doing positive policing. And you got the one I mentioned earlier,
knocking up teenagers,
securing their position as a police officer, and this other one. Yeah. But they're okay.
Yeah.
What on earth?
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? Because it just sums up that bigger picture where, unfortunately, I think people have. Unfortunately, the relationship, the perception of the police force has gone down, and I think almost every decade for maybe the last 50 years it has. So it's a real shame to see. Was there a moment where there was a nail in the coffin for you that you thought, right, this is it, or was it more just gradual?
Pretty much. It's something I can't really.
Right.
I could.
You don't want to talk about on the radio and on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I basically just retired. Retired, and I thought, now's the time for me to go, while I'm ahead. Yeah. Clean bill of health. So it was only a matter of time before I said or did something that might have offended somebody that wasn't there, that could have been there. And that's your pension gone, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And what are you doing with your time now?
I've actually self-employed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all, or not?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah. I mean, you might get some business out of it.
Yeah. I'm actually.
Apart from anything else,
Yeah, I'm actually a fully qualified, approved driving instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how are you liking that?
I'm absolutely loving it.
Because, I mean, you've always been a petrol head, haven't you?
Absolutely
I mean, to say you've been a petrol head is an understatement, really. I mean, you've had some seriously cool cars
Yeah, and motorcycles,
Yeah, motorcycles, yeah. Over the course of my life, the amount of cars, interesting, unique cars I've seen of yours over the decades, I mean, just so cool. And motorbikes, as you said. I mean, I remember it's probably a hilarious sort of people to think of nowadays in sort of my current state. But when I was a little kid, I remember we'd go out like steer and stuff like that, and you put me on your lap, and I'd get to steer the wheel, and obviously you do the pedals and stuff like that. But you'd always have some really cool cars, like old. I mean, talk us through some of the cars. I mean, just in my lifetime, because I can never remember the name, but there's that one that you painted like sky blue, which I think you've still got in a lockup. You said
yes.
So what's that?
So that's a 1979 Mark I Cavalier,
right,
with a 2-litre red top in it.
Right. I remember I used to love it when you sent me out in that car.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Because you did it all up, didn't you?
Yep.
Because you were a mechanic as well, weren't you? When I was a kid, you were a mechanic.
Yes.
But I remember you'd buy sort of cars when you do them up, and I remember you gave it this real nice sort of sky blue paint.
Yep.
And inside, you gave it a nice new gear stick, but it was always very classy. You wouldn't like do like insane amounts of work to you, would you? You wouldn't like renovate the whole thing. You would keep the feel, or the classic feel of the car, but you would just do it up. So it was almost like the moment, the day it came out of the showroom, sort of thing. But yeah, some great cars. Let's talk about some of the other cars you had, because I can't, unfortunately, where I was a little kid at the time, where they were like older cars, a lot of them like vintage. I don't know what they were called. But there was that one you had that you said there was like an ex-police car.
Yeah, Senator. I had two of those.
Yeah.
3-litre 24 valve Senators. Mm-hmm. They were about 1990 in age. 91, 1990. Yeah, two of those. Absolutely phenomenal. So fast.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they were great. I've had a couple of Saab turbos.
Yeah.
I've had Celica GT4, all breathed on, all modified, tuned. Mm-hmm. I've had 3 V8 Rovers, still got one now, obviously.
Yeah, I still need to see that, actually.
Yeah.
You've shown me all the pictures of it and everything, but I want to see it, yeah.
But just quickly, going back to the driving.
Yeah.
So my thought process behind it is... So raced motorcycles professionally for 25 years, and then obviously drove police cars, response and tactical training for another 26 years. Mm-hmm. I passed my HGV at 21 and drove international haulage company with Arctics. And
you drove a massive, great big Scania, didn't you?
Yeah, V8 Scania.
Yeah.
And and obviously I've dealt with numerous road traffic collisions, death by dangerous, and I wanted to channel all that experience and knowledge into students, teaching people to drive. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm a better instructor by any means, but
dude, you are.
I think
I can say, man, if I wish that you would, if you'd been doing this when I was learning to drive, that'd have been awesome.
I just think I've got a little bit more to bring to the table.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Because, you've been in, like, high-speed chases as a copper.
Yeah.
I say you've been up and down the nation in these massive, Arctic lorries.
Yes.
You've been, I said, competitive sort of motorbike. It was like dirt bike.
Motocross and enduro.
Motocross, that's it. Motocross and enduro.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you did that competitively. So, I mean, you've got, like, a plethora of experience in a wide variety of vehicles.
Yes.
Whether it's like high-speed chases as a copper or, driving up and down these massive Arctic lorries or on the back of a motorbike. So, I mean, what more could you want? So, I mean, I think anybody, if I was learning how to drive, or I had a kid that was learning how to drive, and I was looking at potential instructors, right? If I knew 1/10 what I know about you, I would just, I mean, why would you go with anybody else? No, but why would you? You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because apart from anything else as well, it'd be fun going with you,
Yeah. I try and keep it interesting.
Yeah.
And I because I see and scan, like the Terminator, I see so much, and the students just can't believe it. How did you see that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm scanning ahead all the time, reading the road ahead, seeing what's behind.
Yeah, I guess that's just like, that's been your life all your life, isn't it? So you just do it second nature now. It's just natural to you.
So I want to channel that back in to keep them safe, make them better than average. Mm. That's the sort of drive behind it. And I love cars, I love driving. So
yeah. It's like, so if anybody's listening, they want to get in touch, how do they get hold of you? What company do you work for?
Yeah, they can get hold of me on the website.
Yeah.
Under my name. They get hold of me. Yeah.
Just look you up.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. You'll see the car, then absolutely. No problem at all.
Nice one, dude. Nice one. Yeah, so get in touch. Uncle Dom. Uncle Dom. Getting back to sort of like some of the motors, what's like the fastest car you've ever had? Do you reckon?
Probably one of those Senators.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon that was faster than, say, that BMW you had a couple of years ago?
Yeah, because that BMW was fast, but it was modern and it was limited, wasn't it? I mean, not that I ever took.
What was the spec on that BMW again? Because it was something stupid, wasn't it?
So it was 1 Series.
Yeah.
350 horsepower, twin turbo.
Yeah.
With an 8-speed ZF gearbox.
That's insane power in such a tiny car. It's a 1 Series, so it's like a hatchback.
It was a little 3-door hatchback.
Yeah.
If anything, it was too much power for the car.
Yeah.
It used to get very unstable.
Yeah.
So if you got a little bit over enthusiastic coming back from Minehead or over the Exmoor, it was almost the chassis couldn't keep up the engine.
Was it 4-wheel drive or front-wheel drive?
Two rear-wheel drive.
Oh, rear-wheel drive.
Just rear-wheel drive.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
At least it was rear-wheel.
Yeah, but it would almost get out of shape. It was the chassis almost wasn't quite up to spec.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what it's like to drive a car that fast. I've driven some pretty fast cars. I mean, I've got like a 250 brake horsepower 3-litre V6 like SUV.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's fast. Faster than most cars that I'm encountering on the road. I've certainly never had. I mean, not that I'm not even like a fast driver, to be honest, and I don't ever take that many people because I just think it's not worth it, not worth the risk most of the time. But I mean, every now and again down the dual carriageway, I will put my foot down a little bit and have a little bit of fun overtaking some cars because it's safe. Then you're on a dual carriageway, aren't you? There's no risk. But I can't imagine what it's like driving a car with 100 more horsepower that's so much lighter. Because I say the difference between like a big old like SUV like I've got, well over 2 ton. I mean, I don't know how heavy that BMW was, but I mean, got to have been
less than a Golf.
Yeah, I was going to say
weighed less than a Golf.
Must have been like almost a ton lighter or something,
Yeah, and it was last of that era. It was last of the big 6 cylinders in that car.
Really?
Because now they're all front wheel drive, 4-cylinder.
Right.
Mini floor pan. It was the last of that era. It was.
But you still reckon the Senator was faster?
Yeah, top speed. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon? What would that max out at?
The Senator.
Yeah.
Well, I know that the police ones would hit on the Devon Slingshot. Do you know where that is?
No. So
it's between junction 26 and 27.
Right.
It goes down in a massive dip and up the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that the unmarked police ones, they had no roof bars, would touch about 170 down there.
Jesus.
And they used them in the Met for years because they could keep up with Porsches and things like that. 911s.
Yeah, sure. For people that had stolen Porsches.
It's now and again Vauxhall got it right. Not very often, but just they made a few cars that were just bang on.
It's funny, isn't it? Like they've got quite like a loyal fan base, haven't they?
Yes.
I've never had a Vauxhall, but I mean, I've heard that they are quite hit and miss.
Yeah,
like some of their newer vehicles aren't so good.
I don't think the longevity's there, if I'm honest.
Right.
But over the years, they've made like the GSI 2000 Cavalier, the red top Calibra, 16 valve Calibra. The 3000 GSI 24 valve Colton, same engine in the Senator. They just made those cars right.
Nice.
Yeah.
They were like, I mean, all those cars you mentioned though, I mean, they've long since
rotted
finished production, haven't they?
Inside out.
Yeah. I mean, do you reckon you could still find any of them anywhere?
They do pop up now and again, but for crazy money.
Yeah, you'd be like one at a time sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at it on a lot of
they're crazy money and
more like vintage car shows and stuff.
Yeah, and they've done their time, things like that.
Yeah,
served their purpose.
Any other sort of like cars of note, or maybe not even like the fastest cars, but just the cars that you thought were like the best to drive, or like the most fun, like anything like that? Anything that just for some reason stuck out to you? It was just really pleasant for you to drive it, or you loved the look of it, or anything like that? Anything noteworthy?
I had a Mark 1 Escort.
Right.
And I really hot.
Is that the one that you had when I was a little kid?
Possibly.
What colour was it?
Like it was tawny metallic.
I think I think you had it. So you would have had that like early 90s. Was that when you were going out with Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah?
That's right.
The one you should give me like a white teddy bear. I still got it.
Yeah.
And on its feet it says "Hug me."
I put a seriously hot engine in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just amazing.
I'm pretty sure I remember you taking me out in that car when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I think it was Sarah at the time, wasn't it? Your girlfriend at the time.
Seriously, yes.
Yeah. I think I remember you being in that car. Yeah.
Seriously hot engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
Because you had a couple of Ford Escorts, didn't you?
Yes.
Is that right?
A few, yeah.
Like a couple in succession.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was your favourite one.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
It'd be worth a fortune now.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're still really popular, aren't they? I mean, Ford. We were talking about, say, like how Vauxhall have a loyal fan base. So do Ford, don't they? Oh, yeah. People go mad for old Escorts or anything like that, like or like Capris. I have to say, I'm a big fan of a Capri.
I would love a 3-litre Capri.
Yeah,
not a 2.8 injection.
Right,
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But a 3-litre Capri is a proper hard man's car.
And what because there was obviously several. I don't know how they obviously with golf they call it like Mark 1, Mark 2, whatever. So what sort of
3 litres? They made them Mark 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
But the one to get would be a Mark 3, 3 litre S.
Is that the one with sort of the iconic? You know, there's like 4 headlights.
Yes.
To each side.
Yes. Mark 3.
Beautiful cars, aren't they? Beautiful cars.
So Bowling Door, you know.
I was going to say like the professionals.
Yeah. There's a hard man's got. I mean, Terry McCann had a Mark 2, didn't he? Then he progressed to a Mark 3. It's a proper hard man's car.
Yeah.
I'd love.
They're beautiful cars as well because I've always loved. I know that they're not known for their handling and stuff like that, but I'm a big fan of like American muscle cars. You know, some of those American muscle cars. Like Americans know how to make a car look good.
Well, you remember I was wanting to buy a Bullet Mustang, wasn't I?
Yeah. Man, and I do not blame you. Like some of those old cars, like some of the old Chevys and Dodges.
Yeah.
Like you know, like some of those old what are they called? I'm not really a fan like the Vipers or anything like that. They're a bit too sporty. I like the more like muscly car ones, like you know, like the Challengers.
Challenger Hellcat.
Yes, Challenger Hellcat, and there's another one as well. It's not a Challenger. Charger. Yeah, Dodge Chargers as well. I've always been a fan of Chargers, Challengers. I say some of some of the Fords.
Bullet Mustang.
Yep, some of like the Ford Mustangs, some of the Chevys. Like you see some of those vintage old like Fords and Chevys and stuff like that from like back in the 60s and the 70s and that. Beautiful cars.
Amazing cars.
Absolutely beautiful. And but that's the nice thing about those Ford Capris, obviously, because they were released, obviously Ford, but they were released, I don't think they were even released in the US, were they?
They certainly sold well over there.
They did release them in the US, did they?
But obviously they're down on power because the smog and all the rest of it. And
Yeah. But I mean, they were like massively successful over here, weren't they?
Fantastic cars.
But it's one of those things that I always think, like, if money wasn't, you know, if money wasn't a factor, and I had enough land to like store like a few vehicles, that's one thing I would quite like to have, like a really nice pristine, like old, you know, Ford Capri.
Thing is, in the 90s, a 3 litre Capri was probably 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
Now you wouldn't get a decent one for less than 50.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it? Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I say they're just beautiful cars, though, aren't they? I mean, if you saw someone driving around that's a real head turner, isn't it? You know, it's a real head turner.
Yeah.
What's that? There's another type of Ford as well. I remember Ford Cortinas.
Yeah.
I think they're quite nice looking cars.
Yeah.
I remember my granddad Smokey had one when I was a little kid. It was the first car from my memory that he had. He had this sort of like bronze Ford Cortina. I don't know if you ever saw it.
No.
But I remember, like, I look back on it from my memory, and I think they were good looking cars, man.
Yeah.
They probably weren't quite as like sporty from my. I don't know, but probably weren't quite as sporty as like Capris.
No,
they not?
More of a family saloon.
Yeah, but still good looking cars.
Fantastic
and they
cars.
still had almost that nice boxy look.
Yeah.
You know, like just quite almost like a bit of a more of like an American look.
Fantastic cars.
But yeah, good looking cars, man.
Yeah.
Really good looking cars. Any other sort of cars you can think of note? Because you've had so many nice ones.
I mean, I love those Rovers.
Yeah.
They're my favourite cars.
What is it about them that you love so much?
Just love the shape, love the engine, love the way they drive.
Yeah.
You know, from dot one, as soon as I knew what a car was, that was the car I always liked.
Really?
As a young kid, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you had that was like your thought when you were a little kid, and you have a really nice one now.
Yeah.
It's a shame we can't like get any pictures of that. We'll have to sort of like, if you send me some pictures when I've sort of put out a post on social media to like promote it, maybe I'll include like some pictures of it or something in the post. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So that people can go and have a look if they want.
It was the best one I could find at the time when I bought it. All the hard work had been done.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember seeing pictures of it. It's silver, isn't it, or grey?
It's it's Corsica blue.
Right.
With a black top.
Right. Yeah, and it's like quite luxurious looking inside.
Yeah,
isn't
black
it?
leather. Yeah, ET headrest.
Nice.
And it's got diamond cut Jensen Interceptor alloys on it. So really cool. Nice. Yeah,
man, you'll have to show me. I know that you said you're getting a really cool arcade game soon.
Yes.
Man, I couldn't believe it when you sent me over
the end of this month.
When you sent me the list of games it has on it. It's like freaking 4,000 games or something.
Well, Sunday I went up to the showroom and had a go on it, you see.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't believe, I mean, obviously, you know, computer storage and stuff has come up so far in the last sort of like 30 years, but I couldn't believe the amount of games it's got on just one arcade console. Obviously, back in the day, you would have needed the whole thing just for one game.
Yeah, one game.
And now, like, the list on it was crazy.
I mean, there's about 20 arcade games back in the 70s and 80s that are very, you know, special to me.
Yeah.
And I was very keen for a machine to have these. So I wrote them all down and, you know, touched base with the showroom, and he said, come up and have a go. So this particular machine had all of these games and, you know, another 9,000 on top. from all different platforms. So not only has it got all those arcade games and more, it's got all the N64 games on it, like Shadow of the Empire, Rogue Squadron.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all on there.
Man, that's just taking it up.
And it's got all the Mega Drive, Streets of Rage, Road Rash.
Yeah. So, I mean, in some ways, in terms of like nostalgia, they're probably still my favourite games to this day.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, I mean, I say, and I probably wouldn't have ever even gotten, I mean, I might have done it at some point, obviously, because of the generation I was born, but my folks weren't at all into video games, were they?
No.
My old man's always been a businessman and a sportsman. That's always what he's cared about. He just watches rugby all freaking day long, and if rugby's not on, he'll watch any other sport.
Yep.
You sit there in his chair, watching sport and thinking about his business, right? And my mum's never been into video games either. But I think where you were 10 years younger than my mum, obviously you grew up in almost like the heyday of computer games, because when you would have been a teenager, that's when like Atari came out.
I was at primary school when the Spectrum came out.
Yeah.
There or thereabouts.
Do you know what I mean? What's a Spectrum? I don't even know if I've
ZX
heard of that.
Spectrum. It was the first sort of gaming home computer, rubber keys.
Really, I thought that was Atari. Was that Atari came out?
No, that wasn't a computer. That was just a console. That was 70s. That came out.
Okay.
Yeah, and that had like paddles and a joystick.
Right. Yeah.
So they brought out Clive Sinclair, who made the C5, the C5, brought out a home computer. 16K, 48K. Well, there's a ZX 80 and 81, but the first proper, really decent one was the ZX Spectrum 48K, and it came with rubber keys, QWERTY keyboard, so you could program it and play games.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, I said at the beginning of the show, those memories of like playing Sega with you and stuff, are like in my formative years, had such a big impact on me. But obviously, because I used to play Streets of Rage with you all the time and stuff. And was it Murder House? Splatter, where you played Jason Voorhees.
Splatterhouse.
It's so funny because I was thinking about that the other day, and people get so like funny about like what kids can watch and stuff nowadays and stuff. And I was like thinking about that. And I was probably like 4 or 5 years old playing Splatter with you, which is like you're literally basically the premise of the game is you walk around as Jason Voorhees just killing people. But it's great. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's just a bit of harmless fun, isn't it? It's just a computer game, for God's sake. It's a computer game, you know. It's just like relax, It's a computer game. But playing Streets of Rage and that, and then when the N64 came out, I remember to this day, I reckon that's, relatively speaking, I think that's one of the best games consoles ever.
My first ever console.
Was it?
N64.
Was it really?
Fantastic.
I didn't know that, but I mean, the games that came out on that, I mean, GoldenEye. One of the best. To this day, people don't give it the credit it's due because that was the first. Maybe, I mean, people could argue. I mean, I know that things like Doom probably came up at the same time, maybe a bit before. But in my opinion, that was I mean, games like Call of Duty nowadays. I mean, I've never really sort of played them much, but I know they've got like a massive following. Like before Call of Duty, there was GoldenEye. You know what I mean? Like that's the first like awesome shoot 'em up with like multiple levels where you could really sink your teeth into it and have fun day after day after day, and it was so good you could play all those levels weekly. Once you completed the game, give it a week, you'd want to play them again. That's how much fun it was. Just like, and I remember sitting there with you and Lisa, your girlfriend at the time, just absolutely loving playing GoldenEye, and then Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, again pioneering game. I'd never played a game like it.
No.
At the time.
Unbelievable.
Flying around as a like X-wing or an A-wing. I remember you could put in different cheats, couldn't you?
Yeah.
To this day, I even remember Farm Boy.
Yeah.
You put in the cheat Farm Boy.
I Give Up.
Yeah, I
Tough
Give Up.
Guy.
Ace.
Yeah.
Was one of them. Yeah. Tied Up.
Yeah, all tied up.
Gives you a TIE fighter or a TIE interceptor.
Yeah.
And then I think there was even, if you put in, was it Naboo? You could get the Naboo Starfighter. I don't know how they even worked that because the game came out before the Phantom Menace came out. But I think obviously there must have been enough communication with the studio that they said put this vehicle in the game, because I said it came out before Phantom Menace.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was so cool that you could like have an Naboo Starfighter even though it came out before. But Farm Boy got you Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And I remember you could play all the different ones, Y-wings, A-wings, all those great.
A really good Star Wars game is on the SNES, Super Nintendo, Super Star Wars.
Was that yes, I know which ones you're about because you had that and I used to love playing that as well.
And that's going to be on that machine.
So that's where you run around as either Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or Leia or Chewbacca, sorry. Yeah. And but obviously I think for me I'd always want to be Luke because you get the lightsaber.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like you start off Tatooine
Yes, you do.
And you progress.
Yes, you
like,
do.
all the way
then
through.
you go inside the crawler, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember going through the crawler. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you go to
Yeah. Dude, those games are iconic. And Shadow of the Empire, which you mentioned, that was a great game.
It's all on this. It's all there, mate.
Yeah. So I know that nowadays there's a really successful Star Wars game out called what's it called? Bullwinkle. Is it like Fallen Jedi or Jedi?
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. Or something like that.
Something like that,
so, along those lines.
Anyway, basically, Shadow of the Empire was like that, but in the 90s.
Yes.
So it was very storyline based.
Yes.
And it was awesome. You played this guy called... what was his name? Anyway, he was a bit of like a Han Solo roguish type character, wasn't he? Right. But he wasn't Han.
Yeah.
But he had a Corellian ship, spaceship, the same as Han Solo's Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And basically, you were going around, and it was almost like the storyline was happening concurrently to the original trilogy, but this guy's own story, wasn't it? So he was almost like, it was happening alongside the
because you went up against an AT-ST, you went up against Boba Fett, didn't you?
Yeah, IG-88.
Yeah. And
that
also
assassin droid,
yes.
IG-88.
And also what was the monster from Planet Hoth? You went up against that as well, didn't you?
Is it Wampa?
Something like that. Do you remember the...
the big white, almost like Yeti type creature.
You go up against that as well, don't you?
It's something like a Wampa.
And you get a jetpack as well, didn't you? Remember?
Yeah. I remember that. Do you know what? It's so funny things to remember. I remember the level where you fought Boba Fett at the end was so hard.
Oh, unbelievable. I never got past that.
Oh, man, neither did I.
No.
Do you know what? The annoying thing is I reckon now, obviously, as an adult, I'd probably be able to do it. But I just didn't have the freaking skills at the time, man. And I would never even freaking finish the game. But it was an amazing game.
Yeah, it was.
Amazing game.
Yeah.
So those games for N64, so good. Pioneering. But when you said, getting back to the original point, you said that there was about 20 games that really sort of meant a lot to you. So obviously we've mentioned a couple of them. Can you think of any others that we haven't mentioned?
So there's the final fight that you and I used to play.
Yeah. That was a great game. Yeah,
absolutely. Then there's the final round, which is a boxing version.
Right.
So in between fights, you had a little spar with something.
Right.
Like punching medicine balls to get your power up.
Right.
And then there's the Rastan Saga.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Not really.
It's like this warrior, wouldn't he? He had this sword.
Right.
You would have played it with me.
Yeah.
Really, really loud music.
I remember there's little things. I remember like Shinobi. Was it Shinobi? And Shinobi. I remember Golden Axe.
Kung Fu Master.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm stretching my memory back.
Skywolf.
Yeah, I mean, this is 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 34 now.
Rolling Thunder.
Literally 30 years ago, but yeah.
Remember Rolling Thunder?
Say it doesn't...
Thunder Jaws.
I think that obviously if I saw it, it would trigger a memory,
yes.
but I don't remember it off the top of my head. I remember the ones that I enjoyed playing the most with you.
Yeah.
You know, and I say another thing I do remember is when PlayStation first came out, and also you got a PlayStation, and it was playing Tekken, and the amount of fun I'd have, like me and you, and like my brother playing Tekken with you and your girlfriend Lisa. So much fun.
Just smash it all the time.
Just winding Lisa up. I remember it was so funny. Like you'd wind her up so much, and you start going on about like, "Oh, she can't beat me, dude, because she's a girl," and stuff. And then I'd like start saying the same thing to her. I was like, "Yeah, you can't beat me, Lisa, because you're a girl."
The thing is, though, this is the funny thing. Because,
obviously, just in jest.
Because I always used to play martial law.
Yeah.
So whoever I used to fight, say Lisa chose somebody, you'd smash them and it would say perfect, wouldn't it? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, she'd start pressing all the buttons together, not knowing what she was doing, then you'd get in some fantastic hold. Yeah. End up beating you. Do you remember that?
To be honest, dude, she would beat me more often than not.
But she didn't know what she was doing. She was just going crazy with the buttons, and she ended up with some like...
Yeah, doing some mental combo. Yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie. She would beat me more often than not. I'd be there giving it the big un, trying to wind her up, trying to but she would beat me more often than not. And to be fair to Lisa as well, such a good sport. I mean, I had so much fun, when you were together. I say, obviously, we both still have a really good relationship with her today, like to this day, and just a lovely human being.
Oh, man.
And one of those people I wish nothing but the best for.
I said that on the last show, probably the nicest person I've ever met.
Oh, dude. And
she's such a kind-hearted...
Yeah.
And loves animals and, just such a nice, genuinely nice... I think in the 6 years we were together, I don't think we rowed once.
Dude. And also, just you and Lisa babysitting me and my brother, like, I couldn't have asked for two better people to look after. Because, like, you obviously would have so much fun with you, with, like, all the stuff that you would want to do, but then Lisa was just such a lovely person and just so caring.
Yeah.
To this day... It's funny because obviously you and her never got married, but to this day I consider her like my favourite auntie ever. Like I don't know how you want to word it, whether it's the closest thing to an auntie or the best auntie or however you want to word it. Just I've nothing but love for Lisa. You know, got so much time for her. You know,
That's nice, mate.
I mean, obviously, I haven't spent like quality time with her since you and I broke up. But you know, to this day, if I ever do see her anywhere, you know, she's so lovely, and I'm always like lovely to her. And I can genuinely say, like if I knew that she was in need, then I would help her 100%.
That's really nice. Really
100%.
nice.
But yeah, lovely person.
Yes.
But yeah, it was so much fun winding her up. But she was a good sport about it, wasn't she?
Brilliant.
She was great. She
took it so well.
Yeah, she never would like, you know, get annoyed or anything like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, amazing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like training?
If you like.
Yeah. How's training going at the moment?
Well, since we last spoke, I've scaled things down massively.
Right. Do you just feel like you're overtraining?
Yeah.
I think that's a problem with people like ourselves, especially you. You know, if you love training that much and you're so passionate about training, you know, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think the problem for most people is what's hard for most people is trying to get in the gym and I just find it hard to get into it, or I find it, you know, and then they'll say like, I find it hard to make the time, or there's so many excuses that you can make, or like, I did it for a while, but then I went on holiday and then I came back and then I just broke my flow.
I'll start next week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what did it for me was the gym started doing monthly competitions.
Yeah.
And
you'd win about half of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I did win 3 in a row consecutively, but they were tailored for me. And then one of them was
calisthenics, body weight.
Exactly,
style.
press ups, dips, pull-ups.
Yeah, pull-ups,
yeah.
Planks.
Yeah.
You did that plank one, you absolutely smashed it, didn't you?
Yeah, and then one of them was pull-ups. So you had to do as many, as many pull-ups as you could do. You were allowed to, I think, there's some sort of, you allowed some sort of assistance. So it's an assisted pull-up machine.
Right.
And I think it was something like half your body weight.
Right.
As an assistant.
Yeah.
But as many as you could do non-stop.
Yeah.
And
so what do you do, like 100?
Well, there was a couple of young lads there, half tidy, and they came in about anything between 110 and 115.
Yeah.
So I had a go, and I came in at something like 350. Ridiculous. Okay. And I'm not bragging.
Dude, I reckon you could have done 115 body weight.
Thing is, I had 5 people witness it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of doubting Thomases.
Yeah, sure.
And I had a lot of back chat over that.
Oh, dude, I think whatever you do in life, if you get to a high level at something, unfortunately, people will start coming out of the woodwork and try and find ways to discredit
that's
it.
why I gave up.
But it's just jealousy.
That's why I gave up CrossFit. Anyway, cut a long story short, I still had plenty in the tank.
Yeah.
But I could feel something niggling in the shoulder, because that's quite a few pull-ups, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
dude, that's quite a few.
And I thought, why these guys are sort of, you know, I've probably got 20, 30 years on these guys.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
So I've scaled back training.
Dude, they're probably younger than me, you know?
They are.
You know?
By 10 years.
Yeah, and you're 20 years older than me, so.
Yeah. So I've scaled things right back now.
Yeah.
Right back. And I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I've accepted it.
Yeah. As I say, man, I think, you know, I know it's like a rare problem to have, but I think for people like me and you, it's like, you know, overtraining can in some ways be as bad as undertraining, and in some ways maybe potentially be worse. I mean, if you start overtraining too much, your strength will go down rather than go up. You feel lethargic, you feel tired all the time, you feel drained, you feel irritable. In extreme cases, it can even affect your sleep. I know that like people find it hard to switch off at night because your like brain's like in this constant state of being wired and stuff like that, you know. So
I mean, when I was doing all that like mammoth sprinting, even walking up the ramp afterwards, you know, my groin was hurting, my leg was hurting, my knee was hurting, and I thought, you know, I've had my day in the sun. This is ridiculous.
And let's face it, dude, as well, you know, like, you know, you're in your 50s, man.
Yeah, I still don't do any of that now.
Yeah, you know. So
but I'm still shredded, still got 6-pack.
Oh yeah, man.
Still strong as anything.
Dude, in amazing shape. I think one thing as well for obviously people that have never seen you in action that's always been amazing to me is like your pound for pound strength. So I say like, you know, your ability to shift your own body weight, as we said, whether it's like, you know, push-ups, dips, like pull-ups, planks, anything that's to do with manipulating your own body weight, you won't find anyone better. You won't find anyone better. I mean, I remember I was talking to Ruta, who's one of the presenters on the station. Ruta, lovely person, very positive, and an absolute machine. And she's like a legit, she's like a weightlifting champion, and she's also a high-level CrossFitter. She's about 40. And I was like telling her about some of your physical feats, and she was like, wow. And she couldn't believe it. And bearing in mind, this wasn't some lady off the street. She's freaking ripped, shredded, and so strong. You know, high-level CrossFit competitor. And I'm talking like world-level CrossFit competitor. and world level weightlifter. And I was telling her some of the things, you know, like what was it? Was it 18 minutes? Your 5K time?
I can't remember, but yeah, whatever.
It was something like that.
Yes.
In your 50s,
Yes.
doing 5K in 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Some of the other things, like how many dips that you could do. I think at the time I had it to hand, like how long you held like a bodyweight plank for. She couldn't believe it. And this was like a world champion, you know. So that just goes to show, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely crazy, dude.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we had this, you know, CrossFit. I told you before. You had to run a mile as a buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had to come in and you had to do 100 pull-ups, 100 pull-ups, 200 press-ups. But you had to do the mile in a certain time. Okay, so that was your buy-in outside. So then you came in there. So it was 100 pull-ups, 200 press-ups, 300 air squats, then back out for a mile. And I shaved something like 4 minutes off the instructor. The next man in was 2 minutes behind me. That's quite a long time.
Man, a hell of a long time.
And instead of them saying, "Oh, you know, fair play for a guy your age," they're like, "Wouldn't speak to me."
Really?
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
And you know, things like that. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to cheat, is there?
No, and it's just petty.
And everyone's watching with a clipboard.
Yeah. No, it's just petty.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
If that was me, I'd be shaking that guy by the hand, saying, "Ooh."
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I always think not only that, but I try and seek out people that are better at me at the things I'm interested in, and then I try and learn off them and get better.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
I think, and also, it's a sign of a big person to be able to admit when somebody's better than you at something.
Yeah.
That's not even like putting yourself down or something. That's just being realistic. You know, you can analyze life in a realistic way and say this person is better at me than this, objectively speaking, but I am probably better at them than this. I mean, you got a fragile ego if you have to be best at everything. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, totally.
You know, or whatever. You know, as you said, you know, if somebody beats you at something, then fair play, shake the hand.
Absolutely.
Best man on the day one.
Yes.
Tomorrow's another day.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
If you want to get that, if you really want to get better, then put the work in to get better. You know? And that's how you'll get better, not by trying to discredit somebody else's achievement or some feat that somebody else has done.
That's the world we live in now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I'm not
a
massive. It's interesting because my thoughts about CrossFit, because I sort of, I've got a very hybridized style of training, a very jack of all style of training. So in that regard, you could even say that the way I train is a little bit like CrossFit, but I'm not really a fan of CrossFit itself. Because I think that it's easy to get injured, especially when you start getting super competitive as stuff, you know, like that. Do you know what I mean? You're seeing it more as competition than training. Every session is a competition rather than training, and that's when you start getting injured. Because if you're seeing it as a competition when you're in the gym rather than a training session, then you're going to push through pain, and the next thing you know, you could F up your shoulder or F up your knees, and then that could set you back a month, it could set you back 3 months, it could set you back a freaking year if it's bad enough. And like, do you want to do that? So there's that. And also, just for me personally, I know I probably, you know, I might not seem it when I'm saying I'm doing this show, because obviously, you know, at the end of the day, it's my job, you know, to talk to people. But, you know, bearing in mind as well, I'm talking to people that I want to talk to. So I know I might seem sociable when I'm on the radio, but I don't always play well with others. I'm not the biggest people person, and you probably wouldn't find another person speaking on the radio that's more of like that, you know, it likes to be on their own sort of probably more than me, you know. And I like to be on my own. I like to train on my own, not necessarily on my own, but not with the public. That's what I mean. Not necessarily on my own, but not with the public. I like to train. If any one of my friends or family want to come train with me, open invitation anytime. And I find it real fun. You know, I find it real fun to train with that person, whoever. But yeah, I say I like to sort of be in my own world with it, you know. But I mean, as I said, but that said, my training isn't too dissimilar to CrossFit. So, you know, I mean, I worked out today, you know, and it's pretty much all my sessions are full body sessions. I basically pick a pushing exercise, I pick a pulling exercise, I pick a pulling exercise, sorry. I pick some sort of leg variation, some sort of core variation, and then some sort of conditioning, you know. So in that regard, it is quite similar, you know, because I'm doing, and it's all giant sets.
Yes.
You know, like or circuits, however way you want to look at it. There's different in the sort of the gym / fitness realm. There's different sort of terms which basically mean the same thing. A giant set is basically like exercises back to back. So you could have like 4, say, exercises, completely different exercises back to back, couldn't you? You could pick like dips, chin-ups, Bulgarian split squats, and like hanging leg raises. Do them back to back rather than straight sets, and just do 4 rounds. 4 rounds of that, you know, and then do some sled drags afterwards. Go out and do sled drags, or go on a 10-mile jog, or, you know, do some sandbag work, some sandbag carries, you know, or something like that, or just do, I don't know, or just do 100 jump squats as fast as you can.
Yeah,
you know, things like that. You know, so in that regard, it is similar. There is because I think with myself, I always think, like, you know, I'm not training for anything in particular right now, and I don't really particularly have any interest in training for anything in particular, like a competition or anything like that. So I think what is the most beneficial thing to be for me, and I think for most people, is to be almost like a jack of all trades, you know. So, you know, I might not be as strong as a powerlifter, but I'm much stronger than the average guy. I might not be as fast as a sprinter, but I'm faster than the average guy. I might not have as good cardio as a marathon runner, but I've got better cardio than the average guy. I might not be as mobile as a ballet dancer or a yoga instructor, but I'm far more agile and mobile than the average guy, you know? And at the end of the day, that's just giving me a good base. That's just giving me a good base to work from. Because in terms of like everyday functionality, whether it's, you know, throwing your missus and your kids around, playfully, obviously, I mean, you know, I'm talking like jovially, you know, like, you know, just, you know, even if it's just carrying all the freaking bags in from the car in one go because you've been shopping, so you don't have to make multiple trips, carrying heavy bits of furniture up and down the stairs. We have to do things like that every now and again. You know, I do a lot of work in my back garden, you know, things like that. You know, it makes it easy, makes life easy. And it just means I have a good base.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it also means that then whatever I do have to do in life, say I do randomly have to do, whether it's go on like a 10-mile hike or whether it's lift something backbreakingly heavy for whatever reason, whether it's for a family member that needs something moved from their house or anything like that, I've got a good base to work from regardless of what that is required, you know? Because if you're a marathon runner, you're the fittest guy in the room, but you ain't helping your mum lift something heavy. And at the same time, if you're a powerlifter, yeah, you can lift up a fridge on your own, but you walk to the bottom of the street and you're out of breath, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I think, to me, the thing that makes the most sense is if you're not working for something competitively, try and be a jack of all trades athlete. But what are you doing yourself in the gym at the moment? And what are your sort of like training? I mean, obviously I know because we'll talk to you about the time, but at the same time, we're always adapting, aren't we? And stuff like that. So what are your training sort of thoughts? You know, how do you sort of think about your training and program your own training? And what is training looking like for you at the moment?
At the moment, it's great. So diet's bang on.
Mm-hmm. And what does a week look like into the gym? So say, you know, Monday, you know, from you know, 7 days a week. Monday's just started. What do you do?
So I only train 5 days a week now.
Yep. Is that Monday to Friday?
Monday to Friday.
Right.
Weekends
so always have
off.
weekends off. Yeah.
Always have weekends off now. So Monday will be predominantly back and biceps.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be pull-ups, Rockies,
mm-hmm.
then toes to bar, then finish off some 21 biceps.
Okay.
That's Monday, done.
Okay.
And then Tuesdays, it will be hardcore ab exercise of some description, and then triceps.
Okay.
Always finishing with dips.
Yep.
Always.
That's the thing, though. I mean, you say triceps, but obviously dips work a lot of muscle groups.
Yes.
So you're saying abs and triceps, but in reality, you're pretty much giving yourself working almost the entire upper body.
Yeah.
Obviously, not so much biceps and back, but obviously you did that the day before, so you're just taking care of.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
Wednesdays today was, so I do 10 chins, almost muscle up actually.
Okay.
Because again, head up through.
More of a muscle up style.
Yeah, chin up rather than a pull up. So
Yeah.
chin up. So head right up through the roof, you know, take the panel out.
Man, you were always known for that. As I said, when I said earlier on
With a
about...
2-second lock at arm's length.
Right. I remember you were always known for that, even when I went, you know, when I used to go splash with you back in the day.
Yeah.
There was the panel out. You know, those,
Yeah.
anybody can like think of it, whether it was like at school or in like medical buildings and gyms, they'd often have those panels, wouldn't they? And it's like, just like a little, like a square panel. And it's
Suspended
just like,
ceiling.
Yes. That's it, suspended ceiling. And they take out the one over the chin-up bar because your head would go right up into
Yeah, so I'm chinning to about there.
the bar to chest.
Yeah.
Barter chest.
Yeah, so that this top half's right up inside the
full
cavity.
range of motion, everything. Full range of
with
motion.
a 2-second lock, hanging lock in between. Same as pull-ups. 2-second hanging lock. Same with the chins. So I do 10, drop down and do 50 push-ups, nose to the floor.
Nice.
Then back up and do 5 sets of those.
Nice. So like 5 supersets.
Yes.
5 supersets.
So that's Wednesday, and then I'll do another straight after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll back on the chin bars and I'll hold myself so my arms are at 45 degrees perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold myself there. Then I bring my knees up to my chin and legs straight back down.
Mm-hmm.
So straight legs, nice and controlled. Knees curl up, so knees touch back down. Do 10 of those, drop down, and then do with the 20 kilo dumbbells, 10 hammer curls. I do 5 sets of those.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So what does that take us? Was that Thursday or was that?
That's Wednesday.
That's Wednesday. So what's Thursday?
Thursday would be just heavy dumbbells, say 50 kilo dumbbells, alternate bench press. So inverted, alternate dumbbell press, 50 kilo dumbbells. And then do an incline, flat bench, and some good old fashioned cable crossovers. So that would be Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the fun sesh on Thursday. What about Friday?
Friday would be shoulders. So it'll be a lot of exercises. Again, vary. Might start off with the good old fashioned shoulder press with the dumbbells. And then delt raises, side raises, shrugs. Do something different every week, really.
Have you backed off like the conditioning, like more the cardio and stuff? Yeah. Just because of the wear and tear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because about a year ago you were doing a lot of running, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were doing like 5Ks all the freaking time.
But I was getting injured and well, not injured but niggles.
Yeah.
And I thought, I got the rest of my life to think about.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, I think and it's one thing I always think when people get really into road running. And obviously, don't get me wrong, the cardiovascular benefits of running are fantastic, and and running will strip fat off you like crazy. But the wear and tear on your knees as the years, as the years go by, as the years add up, and then the years turn into decades, the wear and tear on your knees is insane, especially if you're running on concrete. Because the thing is as well, like people think that weightlifting is like I bet a lot of people think that weightlifting is more dangerous than running, but I would argue that for your knees, weightlifting is far better because, say if you're weightlifting, say if you're like squatting, it's no, even though it's a heavy weight, it's not high impact. Every time if you're running and you're running a pretty decent speed, especially on concrete, every single stride, you're slamming your foot into the concrete, and that's sending a shock wave up through your foot, up into your leg, up to the bottom of your leg, into your knees. Your knee, all the cartilage in your knees is having to absorb that. Some people even get like hip injuries later on in life. Yeah. I remember Joe Johnson, who's like a very well respected, basically just alpha male in the local sort of local area. He's a black belt in karate and used to have a very, very successful undefeated career as a kickboxer when he was younger. 17-0. Really, really cool guy. Know him personally. Awesome guy. Another guy that just trains like an absolute, beast. Nothing but respect for him. But he said to me, if there was one thing he could go back and change. Oh yeah, just worth mentioning as well. Joe Johnson is in his early 60s now. He said if about 10 years ago, he said to me, if there was one thing he could tell his 20-year-old self, it would be stop running the roads. Maybe run around fields. Maybe because it's less impact on the knees, or incorporate a different style of running, maybe where go to a park at the time when the kids aren't there, run up and down to the post and then drop and do a load of push-ups and then get up and run about. It's not, but just to go out on like a 10k all the time as and predominantly on concrete, it will just wreck your knees, because he ended up having to have knee surgeries and all sorts, and I mean, I think his knee surgery sorted him out a lot. I think it helped him a lot, but he put it all down to, he said the reason he left his knees up was road running. Because I think when you're younger as well, I mean, you see videos of boxers and stuff hitting the road, and you think, oh, that's what I need to do. So you do it. But I don't know. Might not be, in terms of longevity, might not be the best thing for you.
No.
Yeah, do you miss it though? Do you miss running and stuff?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Just enjoy it.
I had a great career, didn't I? Great day in the sun, and I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, fair play, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think as well, if you love training, it's just great being in the gym, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And just great getting the blood pumping, getting a good pump on the go.
Absolutely. I like to I like to feel as though I'm competition ready 24/7. So the phone rang, not that it ever would.
Yeah.
6 packs ready, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Anytime.
What I always think of is, it might sound like a funny thing to say, but I mean, I'm naturally quite a vigilant person, and I always think not just necessarily with competition so much, but I think, if my mum rang me in the middle of the night and she said, right, there's a van parked outside the house, and it's probably some crooks that have come down from Birmingham or Bristol or something, and they're eyeing up the house and thinking, oh, this is a nice house. Is there any like vantage points? Anywhere we can potentially get in?
Yeah.
Let's do a little sneak around. See, let's try and do some recon. What sort of people do we reckon live here? Are they harmless? If they're harmless, maybe we should break in and take something. I think if my mum rang me in the middle of the night, I should be ready to go there and make sure that my mum's okay. That's little things that I think.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, your body is your machine, isn't it?
Yep.
And you need to make sure that you can trust your machine more than the next guy can trust his.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing being like a vulgar human being that might be willing to put violence upon people. That's one thing. But how good can your machine do that?
I mean, listen, we spoke about this last time. I mean, as a father, how could you ever live or cope with, say, intruders breaking into your house and you couldn't defend your family because you weren't in a physical or mental condition to do so?
Oh, man,
and they
100%.
got the better of you in front of your...
Oh, man, 100%. Dude.
Wow, how could you ever?
Dude, you'd have to go the way of the samurai after that,
Yeah.
But,
you just know that would never happen to you or me.
Oh, man, never.
But how could you
You'd
let
have
yourself...
to kill me before you touch my daughter, man.
But imagine that happened. How could you ever live with yourself?
Well, mate, I think, at the end of the day as well, it's all good and well saying, like, oh, no, I'll rely on the police. But, especially if you live out in the middle of nowhere...
That'd be 30 minutes to your house.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
In that point, they've taken what they've wanted and they're long gone.
Yeah, long gone. In which direction?
Yeah.
How many directions can they go from yours?
Yeah, exactly.
No NPR, no CCTV.
Exactly.
Gone forever.
And also, I think, people get a little bit too comfortable in modern society. And don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. It's a good thing that we live in a comfortable society. But I think that we almost get a little bit deluded sometimes. We get this false sense of security and we disassociate danger with real life. We've got to bear in mind, we're very privileged to be British people. We live in a very good country on the whole. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of issues, same as many other countries. But relatively speaking, we're pretty safe. But every now and again, right, even in this country, you're going to get a wake-up call, or at least there's the chance, And when you do get that wake-up call, you want to be ready for it, because, when SHIT hits the fan, you got to be ready for that, And as you said, whether it's as a dad or whether it's thinking about your mum's getting on a little bit and you want to make sure that you can look after her. Because in my opinion, I take things like that seriously. Any of the women in my family, it's my job to look after them. My daughter, my missus, my mum, my grandmothers. And I feel like I was born. It was as one of my main job titles from the moment I was born was to always look after them. So you have to take that seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. They need to be able to rely on you.
Yep.
Whether that's just doing something around the house for them or whether that's And
even when you go out with, you could take her anywhere and she knows that she's totally safe with you. And there's not a great deal of people that could say that, their prospective partner. I've been told that many times now. When people go out with me, they feel protected, they feel safe, that nothing's going to happen to them. I
remember you telling me stories about when you went to Egypt with Lisa.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
You gave some local guys, some money they were going to show you around the pyramids, and then and it turned out they were crooks and they turned on you and tried to steal all your stuff and tried to mug you, didn't they?
Yeah. Drew a scimitar.
Drew a scimitar.
Yeah.
Yes, people that don't know, that's like a freaking sword.
Yeah.
That's like a freaking sword. Yeah. So obviously I know the story, but tell everyone how that went.
Well, we went to Egypt and Israel, and it's like a package deal. In Egypt, in particular, where you pay it was through a proper English tour, and you paid one price, and that covered the Sphinx, the pyramids, the museum, Cairo, all the excursions, everything. And you were given this badge to put on your clothing with it was a V, I can remember it, and that told everybody you'd paid. There's no more money. And we were assured by the tour guide, English tour guide, at this really nice hotel, that that all the locals understand this, and they certainly won't be coming, cap in hand asking for money. Anyway, so we get there, we look around the Sphinx and the pyramids, and these guys come up and seemed to be in the crowd with the talk, all of us on this coach, and said, "Do we want to see the underground burial chambers?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I said, "Look, of course we understand. Spoke English."
Mm-hmm.
So we led us down these sort of catacombs down into this burial chamber. There's 4 of us, and giving us this, lecture about this body that was found, this pharaoh, king, whatever he was, and all the rest of it. And it seemed okay. Things were going okay. And I noticed that one was talking, the other one was because it's like a tunnel at an angle, so quite steep, go in and out, no steps or anything. And the other guy was by the tunnel, not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And time was knocking on. I said, well, about time for us to go now, because we've got to get on the bus, get on the coach. And anyway, they blocked the entrance and started asking us for money.
Mm-hmm.
I said, whoa, I explained to you up there that there's no more money. Anyway, one drew a scimitar and said that, you will be paying us, words to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl started crying. And the guy I was with, useless, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
It's not very often, you know me, you've known me a
yeah.
long time, it's not very often I get really angry.
No.
And this point, I have flames coming out the top of my head, you see.
You're intense, but you're not angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I got really angry with him. And I said, look, you don't step aside. The next pharaoh, body, mummy, they find down there for you and your mate. But the thing is, it's hard for me to reenact it, because I don't really, but I was so angry.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And
I would have gone down there as a
knife
trust.
or no knife.
Yeah.
I fought them like a wildcat and got the better of them. I know I would have done.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying I'm a super tough guy.
Yeah.
But when you talk about taking people out, taking knives off people, that's all very well. But when you go out on the street and do it for real and you got no backup, that's something else.
Yeah.
And I've had years of that.
Yeah.
Years of it.
Yeah.
And you know how to deal with it. You know how to handle yourself. You know how to take knives off. People that know how to use a knife, they wait in the shadows.
Oh yeah.
They don't hand it out in front of them and say, I'm gonna stick you, bro.
Yes.
They know how to use it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
That's why as well.
And they don't advertise it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know it's happened before it's too late.
That's why as well. I think people don't ever take seriously if somebody like threatens you online or anything like that. Because if they were really going to do something, they wouldn't do that. Because all they're doing is incriminating themselves openly, which is stupid.
Warning.
Yeah, they're warning you.
Yes.
They're being stupid, and they're giving you a chance to, to then retaliate. It's all intimidation.
They'd be in the shadows, and you wouldn't even know about it until it's too late.
It's like you hear stories, don't you, about like high-profile businessmen or gangsters.
Yes.
Deals, things go wrong, people fall out, and then you hear that some guy got run over by this van with no plates out of nowhere, and it broke both of his legs, and he's never going to walk properly again. And it's because that guy that he rubbed up the wrong way, paid somebody freaking 20 grand.
Yeah.
Some guy to steal some van without, take the plates off, run him over, and then dump the van.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm going to do this to you or anything. That's just
you don't ring ahead.
No,
it's rubbish.
It's just.
We used to get it all the time up at Breen, at the campsites. There'd be someone down there on holiday in one of these grotty caravans with somebody else's wife, girlfriend, husband found out, and he's on his way down. They'd ring the police. They'd rock up. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, my ex-husband or boyfriend's on his way down with a baseball bat or a knife or something. I said, how do you know? Oh, he's texted me, he told me, and it's ludicrous,
Oh,
ludicrous.
Yeah. Why would you warn them about that?
Yeah, exactly.
You just turn up and
take rubbish.
You just would turn up, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or there'd be some siege in Bridgewater, some guy with a machete, a siege.
Yeah.
And you'd be told by your supervisors, you've got to get the tactical team out and negotiator. No,
Yeah, sure, dude. And I think as well, like, just getting back to the point of you saying, and being very modest. You were being very modest, saying like, "Oh, I'm not a tough guy," and everything. I could definitely clarify that you are a tough guy. But anyway, I think as well, it's like if you know certain people, and you know that they were just born different to other people, and I think with you and my mum, and obviously my mum doesn't even work out, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about being tough in like a working out sort of way. Some people are born with something where that you would literally have to kill them. To stop, if something went down, you'd have to stop, kill them, because that my mum would never stop clawing or biting or anything. And I think obviously you were both similar, brother and sister in that regard. Like I always say to people, like, don't be fooled. Out of my mum and dad, my dad might be the loud one, my dad might be the cocky one, my dad might be the one that gives the bravado. But you got to be more worried about my mum than my dad. because like, I know them both well enough to know, you know.
Yeah.
Like, my mum would be the one that, you know, if she was born a man, she would make a great SAS soldier or something like that, you know, like, because she has a side of her
I'm fairly
which
confident
would be very dangerous.
I'm fairly confident your mum would, you know, could slay someone and not worry about it.
Oh, yeah, your side of her is very dangerous. Whereas your dad
might live with some regret, mightn't he?
Yeah. And I don't know if he could bring himself to do it.
No, but I think your mum wouldn't hesitate.
He likes talking a big game and stuff like that.
I think she could sneak up behind someone and, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Espionage,
no
all that sort of stuff, yeah. She just has a different side to her, and you know it. And I think, you know, unless you know her really well, you wouldn't necessarily realise it. But I think if you know her as well as me and you know it, you know when someone's just born a bit differently. Yeah. And I said, no, you're the same way. Yeah. You know, and I think it's a valuable trait to have, because that doesn't mean as well that somebody is uncivilized, because you and my mum are two of the most civilized, well-mannered people I know. I mean, I would find it very hard to think of two people that have got better manners. Obviously, your grandma, your mum has fantastic manners as well. That's one thing I'm always very proud about, you know, all three of you for that. Fantastic manners. You know, always, I said to you, you know, last time I saw you, always so gentlemanly to Emily, so good to Evie, such a lovely uncle, great uncle to my daughter, always been such a great uncle to me. As I said, you know, I'll owe you to the day I die as far as I'm concerned. I'll always have your back because of the things that you've done for me, like personally and stuff. So that's the real test of a person. So that's not saying that, you know, just because somebody has that savage element, it doesn't mean that they're not a civilized person or not a good person. Two different things. Because I said yet again, you know, and same thing as I was just saying about you. You know, my mum's such good manners, such a well-mannered person, so polite. You couldn't have a more like decent, well-mannered human being. But then there's also the other side to them, where it's like probably best not to do them wrong. Yeah. You know, probably best not to do them wrong, because you know as well, people like that, they will never forget. They'll never forget.
A few people that have known me a long time, since the 80s, they introduced me to this film called Nobody. Right. And they said, that's you. Have you heard of it?
No.
Have you seen it?
I think so.
No, I haven't.
I think it's a Netflix film, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they said, that's just you. And I watched it, and
really?
You got to see it.
Oh, I've got to see it, yeah.
What's his name? Bob Odenkirk?
That's him.
Bob Odenkirk?
Yes.
Odenkirk.
Basically, it's this guy in his 50s, right?
Right.
So he is nobody to the normal Joe.
Yeah.
Anyway, some scallywag break into his house. Mm-hmm. That's their first and last mistake.
Right. Man, I always think that. Yeah. Do you ever like think to yourself sometimes, you just think like, man, please somebody break into like make my day. You know? Just like see him try, you know? Yeah. Dude, you know, I mean, without going into too much details as well, I mean, I'm always prepared for stuff like that as well. I probably spend an unreasonable amount of time preparing for scenarios like that. But I mean, obviously I won't give any secrets away, but trust me, I'm prepared.
Planning prevents piss poor performance. Yeah, that's what you're going to tell yourself.
And you ask Emily, and I'm not joking. I've made her drill scenarios with me.
I believe you.
I know it sounds like a psycho thing to do. No. She knows exactly what to do in the case of a home invasion. Yeah. And we've obviously planned out like Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Yeah. So if Plan A goes to pot, we initiate Plan B. If Plan B goes to pot, we initiate Plan C. You know.
Watch that film. Let me know.
I will.
Okay.
I'll watch Nobody, man.
Because I thought they were just having me on, you see, these lads.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah.
They said, that's just you. And
I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, dude?
Anything you like.
Well, man, you tell me. You tell me. Is there anything else? I mean, we've been chatting for about an hour and 25 minutes. If there's anything you want to mention or anything else you want to talk about, then I'd love to, if you want to wrap it up.
I'm happy, mate. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. Bullwinkle, have you got any questions?
I'm happy.
You right?
I'm happy.
Right, guys. Well, you've been listening to Pandora's Box. Dom, thanks so much again for coming on.
Absolute pleasure.
I know I just said it, but I'm forever in your debt. I'll always have your back. You know, blood is thicker than water, and man, I'll go to war for you.
You too. Ditto, man.
Nothing but respect and
two-way traffic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening today. We'll be back again next week. Cheers, everyone. This has been Pandora's Box with my Uncle Dom.